Maayong MCU, maayong IIT. Join us on our adventure as we welcome you to first year Earth Science. Are you familiar with this phenomenon? Probably yes. These are deserts, the land areas of Earth where there is much sand and overwhelming heat. However, this knowledge is only surface level. In this presentation, we will know more about deserts and wind, how one is interrelated with the other. Our objectives for this discussion is to describe deserts, discuss the types of desert, discover the relationship of deserts and wind, learn desert formation and temperatures, and lastly, understand desertification. Deserts are areas of land that receive very little precipitation, meaning less rainfall than any other area in the world. Most experts agree that a desert receives no more than 25 centimeters or 10 inches of precipitation per year. The amount of evaporation in a desert greatly exceeds the annual rainfall. Desert humidity is usually so low that not enough water vapor exists to form clouds. The sun's rays beat down through cloudless skies and bake the land. The ground heats the air so much that you can actually see as air rises in waves. With daytime temperatures as high as 54 degrees Celsius or 130 degrees Fahrenheit, other deserts have cold winters or are cold all year round. How is this possible? To answer this question, you need to know that there are four types of deserts generally. These are arid deserts, semi-arid deserts, coastal deserts, and cold deserts.
Arid deserts are found near the equator where there is more sunlight. The Sahara Desert in Africa is an example of an arid desert. Temperatures on arid deserts range from negative 18 degrees Celsius at night and up to 49 degrees Celsius at daytime. Most rain on these deserts are short outbursts followed by extended periods of drought. You can notice that in these deserts, the surfaces are rocky and textured. Wind here blows most of the sand, leaving heavier and larger sediments behind. Another kind of desert is the semi-arid deserts, which are a bit cooler than arid deserts. Here, long and dry summers are followed by winters with some rain. Semi-arids are found in North America, Greenland, Europe, and Asia. Due to limited chemical weathering because of less water, soil development here is usually weak. In semi-arid deserts, there is only 25 to 50 centimeters of rain per year. Because of this, typical vegetation found in these areas includes scrubby grasslands. Next up are coastal deserts. These deserts are usually found on western edges of continents where cold ocean currents are running parallel to the coast. Example of these is Namib Desert of Africa and Atacama Desert of South America. Despite being near water sources, these deserts remain dry because most precipitation occurs in the ocean with small amounts of moisture reaching land. Lastly is the cold deserts. Quite similarly to arid deserts, cold deserts also receive little amounts of annual precipitation, however, in the form of snow or fog. According to an article at Britannica, cold deserts are found typically in temperate regions at high elevations like plateaus, mountainous areas, and polar regions. Plants, specifically shrubs and grasses, and other organisms survive in these dry and frigid conditions. These deserts have colder temperatures, especially in winter. They are found in Central Asia, North America, South America, Antarctica, and the Arctic.
Because deserts encompasses of very small particles in its surface, wind play a big role on deserts' land formations. Let us analyze how deserts and wind are interrelated. First is the sediment transportation by wind, where wind transports sediments near the surface by siltation and smaller particles by suspension.
The sediment can be transported through different mechanisms, and one of those is the wind. It can also move small grain and large grain depending on the speed. Siltation happens when wind moves dust and dirt from one place to another through bouncing and hopping. Suspension takes place when dust and dirt particles gets lifted by the wind.
Second is the wind erosion, where wind is eroded by deflation through removing fine-grained particles and leaving a desert pavement behind. It is a common phenomenon that mostly happens in dry and sandy soils. It is a natural process of transportations and can be caused by activities such as cutting trees in that particular area where it could act as wind breaks. Third is the wind deposits, where velocity of air carrying sediments increases but is blocked by a barrier, therefore decreasing its velocity and forming deposits as it diverges. Just like water, wind also slows down when it passes over an obstacle, therefore dropping the sediments it carries. And lastly, sand dunes. Sand dunes form when there is a ready supply of sand, a steady wind, and an obstacle to trap some of the sand. Sand dunes form when moving air slows down and sand drops out, forming a mound that becomes a dune. In conclusion, wind acts as a geologic agent that has the ability to transport, erode, and deposit sediments on deserts.
And now, let us move on to desert formations. Let us tackle two phenomena that lead to a formation of a desert. Orographic lifting is a process when a moving air mass meets a geographical feature such as a mountain. Some of the air will have no choice but to go over it. Orographic lifting happens when the air rises and cools as it goes up the windward side of a mountain. Saturation point drops as air cools. This means cold air holds less moisture. At the dew point temperature, or temperature point at which the air can hold no more water, the air is full, and water vapor begins to condense. This causes clouds and precipitation. For instance, some areas in Nepal and Bhutan on the windward side of the Himalayas get orographic precipitation due to orographic lifting. And for the rain shadow effect, rain shadows are caused by a large structure like mountains that intercepts atmospheric moisture on its crossing from the sea to an inland environment. Mountain ranges are the most common cause of a rain shadow effect. An example of this is seen in the western United States because of the placement of the Rocky Mountains. Prevailing winds, winds that blow consistently in a given direction over a particular region on Earth, carry air towards the mountain range. As the air rises up over a mountain range, the air cools, water vapor condenses, and clouds form. On this side of the mountains, called the windward side, precipitation falls in the form of rain or snow. Once the air passes over the mountain range, it moves down the other side, warms, and dries out. This dry air then produces a rain shadow.
And now, let us define desertification. Desertification is the process by which vegetation in dry lands and in semi-arid lands, such as grandlands or shrublands, decreases and eventually disappears. Concepts does not refer to the physical expansion of existing deserts. Human activities often contribute to the process, including deforestation. Desertification can occur when extended periods of drought sap the land's productivity until it becomes dead soil. According to the United Nations, more than 24 billion tons of fertile soil disappear per year. In fact, today 2/3 of the earth is already undergoing a process of desertification. And that is all for this presentation. Thank you so much for listening.